Every time she talks, you have to pay attention. Indiana Republican Victoria Spartz, first Ukrainian-born member of Congress. She still has relatives, including a 95-year-old grandmother back home, and she is with us now in D.C. And good morning to you. Strong speech. I listen to you every time you open your mouth. First of all, how's your family back home?
Well, actually, interestingly enough, my grandma turned 95 today, and we couldn't reach her, but my mom just called me few minutes ago and told me that we reached her neighbor and the building next to her was hit, so it blew out all of her windows in her apartment, so they moved into the basement. So at least for now they're safe in the basement, but it's really, this humanitarian crisis is going to reach, level never seen before. And I think we, as the leaders of the world, have a responsibility to really take some leadership and force to have some ceasefire, at least to have some safe corridors for people and safe passes to get out of the cities. I was just listening to Mayor of Mariupol. He said that they hit directly buildings, blood banks, schools, water towers, electric facilities. They have nothing. People in the basement with no food, no electricity, nothing. My friend just called his relatives in the city of Bucha by Kiev. The kids, ton of kids sitting on the ground crying, and everything is fighting under them. They're cut off from everything. They tried to talk to Russians to have safe passes. They didn't do it. They actually bomb train stations and train cars to make sure that people cannot get evacuated. I think we have a responsibility to rally out community, and I'm going to be calling ambassadors. I've been calling some to help, and I hope Secretary Blinken will do the same when he goes in Europe, at least to help to evacuate some of these kids and women and save some people's lives.
Congresswoman, it is on everyone's minds, including the Secretary of State. This is what he said yesterday about the targeting of civilians.
These aren't military targets. They are places where civilians work and families live. We're looking very closely at what's happening in Ukraine right now, including what's happening to civilians. We're taking account of it, we're documenting it, and we want to ensure, among other things, that there's accountability for it.
One of those things in terms of accountability is something I know you're working on, which is this question and how it should be answered about Vladimir Putin and whether he's a war criminal.
Well, I think, I'm glad to see that UK take a leadership role, and Senator Lindsey Graham and I, we're not a member of the International Criminal Court, but we can show our support and encourage our ally in Europe to show their support. And I'm glad that, Great Britain, Poland, and a lot of European countries have been taking a lot of leadership, unusual, and I really want to thank them. They've been great allies for us, and it's very important, but we need to help them, and hopefully, we can have more pressures for things happen, because people need to have, responsibility for the genocide, for killing people, for war crimes. It's not a war, it's killing, extermination of people.
I know you would like the US and NATO to go after Putin and the Russian military, specifically in your country. It's not going to happen. That seems
well, I don't think
let me just get to the question, because I'm very curious about your answer. Short of that, what can we do to help your grandmother?
Well, I've been very clear, we do have some responsibility, but it's different. It's not Article 5, and we are not going to, provoke to get into big, war with a nuclear country. It's just not feasible, and it's bad for all of us, including for Russia and for everyone else. So hopefully they're not trying to escalate, and we need to be very clear. So this is not a way we want to escalate. But I think we need to help the Ukrainian people to fight for their freedoms. Ultimately, each country has to fight for their own freedoms. And unfortunately, when you lose them, then your kids have to die. We do need to stop this aggressor, that then we don't have to send our kids to die. We need to really beef up the flanks of our Eastern European allies and send a message that we are going to be protecting our NATO allies, and we are serious about that, but also be faster to help Ukrainians to defend their lives, so they don't have to get blankets and forks and knives to fight these aggressors, that they can save their children and mothers. They shouldn't come and shooting people in the villages. So I think we, as world leaders and our allies in Europe, have responsibility to give them some lethal aid so they can defend themselves and at least save some lives. And I think we have to be fast and be more helpful to them.
President Biden has asked the Congress for $10 billion. Do you think that will be something that can be approved quickly?
Well, I think, I met with Senator McConnell, and he's very determined to get things moving. I told them we don't want to have these big packages with a lot of junk because it's very difficult then for people to vote. We have to look at each problem, the same like when we dealt with COVID. If we would have a narrow approach to deal actually with problem, there is much more bipartisanship on this issue. Not this and I think that's what we need to do, and I think the Senate is moving on that, and hopefully they will move quick.
My best to you. What town is your grandmother in?
It's a northern city of Chernihiv. It's actually been bombarded non-stop every day. I mean, a lot of cities like Mariupol for 8 days, 24 hours, non-stop. So it's been bombarded because they can't take it, and it's by Belarusian and Russian border. And, it's unfortunate for these people, but they're all willing to fight, and I am so proud and amazed with them. I'll be honest with you, it's just tough situation.
Well, I can't imagine how proud they are of you, including your grandmother, whose 96th birthday is today, or 95?
Actually, 95. She just turned 95. Thank you.
Congresswoman Spartz, thank you so much.
Thank you.